was invited to the Spurs Summer League in Vegas, tore that league up, and this very rarely happens, Bill, as you know. He was offered a contract in Las Vegas because I guess RC and the Spurs coaching staff didn't want anybody else to say, hey, this guy that's playing for the Spurs is pretty good. We need to sign him.
Yeah, so not invited to camp, a guaranteed multi-year contract. That tells you the impression he made in Vegas.
Yep, and he's a very good college player, first at LaSalle and then at Towson. And Gary Neal, a good player, obviously part of the Spurs rotation. And there's a turnover. We got a fast break going the other way. There's a block from behind by Tony Parker. Tony hustling. And, Tony came back with a great attitude, I thought. In fact, Tony was saying, and you might have been part of the interview, Bill, where he was saying, we need to get a little tougher. Mm-hmm. He went to Steven Jackson and said, Jack, we need to have, a little bit more of Steven Jackson in us. We need to, what did Pop say during the playoffs last year? I want some nasty.
Yeah, give me a little
and
nasty.
Not necessarily a good nasty, just a little tougher, a little more physical, because the number one thing that Pop wants to improve on this year is defense. And there's another basket for Kawhi Leonard, who's been very impressive in this open scrimmage. But, normally when the Spurs were winning their championships, Bill, they were always in the top 5, sometimes 1 or 2 in field goal percentage defense. And that's one of the things that Pop looks at as the barometer of how good your defense is. What are teams shooting against you? And the Spurs, for the last couple of years, been right in the middle of the pack in the NBA, 14th, 15th, and he would like it to get back up into the top 10.
Yeah, Manu made the same comment at Media Day that he said, we aren't going to win a championship being in the middle of the pack in defense, whether it's points allowed, field goal defense, whatever. And how many times last year, is disappointing as it was to lose that series to Oklahoma City, how many times did we just say, either on the air or to ourselves, that they just can't stop them? Mm-hmm. That has never been the case with the Spurs. And the rules have changed. It's harder to play the kind of defense they used to play because you can't put your hands on people as much in that. But there's no question this team can be a much better defensive team, and I'll be surprised if they aren't.
Yeah, well, and then Steven Jackson, of course, comes in with only, about 15, 20 games left in the regular season. And he's the type of physical defender and that guy that brings a little bit of an edge. There's a nifty move by Tim Duncan in the lane. But defense is going to be the number one priority, I believe, during the 7 preseason games and during these practices. And just in case you're on Spurs.com right now going, hey, what's going on here? Well, this is the annual open scrimmage. It's an open practice plus scrimmage here at the AT&T Center. The fans are all filling up the lower bowl here. And this is basically a dress rehearsal for the first preseason game coming up Saturday against Montepaschi Siena of the Italian League. I know you probably don't know much about them, but they are the 6-time defending Italian League champions.
You've already started on your homework.
I have. Now, I haven't done that much yet.
If you could just say the team name and the players' names.
And I know their colors are green and gold. They're green and white. So, yeah, we're coming up at the end of the first half. It's kind of a running clock that they got going on here, and the Silver will take a lead into the locker room. And this is the final possession. Jackson from the right wing, and he missed it. And the follow by Blair tipped out. Good hustle by DeJuan Blair. I liked some of the action I saw from Blair. But that first half, that was Kawhi Leonard. 18 points in the first half for Kawhi Leonard. Picking up.
Worked on his own in San Diego with a couple of former Spurs players. Made himself into that. So what's he going to do? What's the next level? And I think back to the night. It's funny because it wasn't a great night for the Spurs as a team. But the night in Portland where the big three did not play, and Danny Ferry said, working with him, he said, you know what, on this night, guys are going to get to do some things they don't normally do in the rotation. And the more I thought about that, thinking back, Bill, now, guess what? It is going to be things they're going to be able to do, right? They got a little taste of it,
absolutely.
But as they grow in the program, if you will, they're going to get more comfortable doing that.
Yeah, and it's not just Kawhi Leonard. It's guys like Patty Mills, who is going to be fighting for a spot as the backup point guard. And we saw what Patty could do at the tail end of last year with his 2 monster games against Phoenix and Golden State when Pop decided to kind of rest everybody for the playoffs and give an opportunity to a guy like Patty Mills. And Patty, of course, invited back, and why not? I think that the way he plays with such confidence and the fact that he can score very quickly. By the way, that's Manu Tres. Ginobili from straightaway 3, picking up where he left off with the Argentina national team. And but getting back to the young guys, Danny Green, another young player who's going to benefit from all this extra time. So, and the confidence that comes with that corporate knowledge that Pop likes to talk about as Steven Jackson hits a left wing three. But, yeah, there's reason to be excited because this is a team that offensively played so well last year, and now it's a question of getting everything together on defense and maybe getting back into the top 10 in field goal percentage defense.
I like what Pop said during media day, and he used it a couple of times, did he not? Identity theft. That's what happened in that Western Conference Finals, but that is going to be the reminder. Bill, you know, and fans are going to expect, well, you know what? You can't play with that chip on your shoulder for 82 regular season games, but it's going to be that constant reminder, and I think it's going to be, hey, we're going to play that kind of basketball. You talked about it all during last year, the adjustment. One of the best offensive teams, and not so much getting away from the defense, but not having the time to put into it. They're going to have that time now. And again, just the regular practice time, a full training camp, regular practice time, that's going to be huge, I think, for the learning process of these young players and the Dials, the Mills, as you're talking about, to get acclimated. It was their basketball IQ that made them so successful at the end of the year. Now you put that with familiarity. Woo, that's going to be a lot of fun to see.
Oh, that was a beautiful move by Gary Neal. He just didn't finish, and then he commits the foul off the miss. But we saw Gary in the first half. Andrew, I saw you sitting over here next to us, come up with some nifty moves. And he's got such a beautiful shot. You know, he's got that good step back, pump fake when he gets you off the air and then can create contact or just go ahead and follow through. And he's just a very accurate shooter. He was at LaSalle. He was at Towson. He was overseas. He played in 3 different leagues overseas. And he's now in his 3rd year with the Spurs.
And with Corey Joseph, with Patty Mills, Nando DiColo, who will handle the basketball, will Gary be more comfortable because he gets to play more of just the shooting guard? Look, he'll be able to bring the ball and initiate the offense, but he won't be relied on as a point guard. So will that make him more comfortable and more dangerous?
Oh, I think so, because that clearly is his position at 2 guard. What a nice little reverse. He couldn't finish by Steven Jackson. I heard Jack doing an interview the other day. It was before training camp opened, where he really doesn't do an awful lot of work during the off season as Ginobili hits a right wing 3 over Matt Bonner.
A what? A what?
Yeah, a right wing 3?
No. Who hit it? It's a Manu what?
It's a Manu Tres. And that's 12 points, by the way, now for Manu Ginobili. Matt Bonner wants to return the favor, but he got all iron there. But Matty's such a fun player to watch. That's a corner 3. Now, Danny Green didn't hit that. But if he can consistently hit that, nice pass by Parker to Green, by the way. But and we were talking about this with Bill Landor in the first half, Andrew, Kawhi Leonard is such a good corner 3-point shooter now. Danny Green has developed that shot. Of course, Bruce Bowen, that was his spot, his shot for a long time. But in the Spurs offense with a pick and roll, defenders have to kind of pick their poison, and that 3 is open a lot of times. If you can consistently hit that 3, a nice move there by Boris Diaw. But that's really going to open everything else up.
3 points at a time in that corner. Now add if Kawhi's handling the ball and drives to the basket, or there's that threat of driving baseline if teams are going to guard him too closely in that corner. That's what really is the excitement, and we're going to see that. It's not going to be just on opening night. We're going to see more and more develop over games 1 through 82, and then throughout the playoffs. You just know they're going to get better and better as the season goes along.
And, of course, the Western Conference has really stepped up. They've got great competition for the Spurs throughout the course of the year. There's another Ginobili 3-pointer as Manu's hitting those threes. He really likes that spot. He's very comfortable on the right wing.
More in the wing, yes.
We can follow through with that left-handed shot. That seems to be the most comfortable spot for Manu as he deflects that pass. And watch out below. Tim Duncan with a reverse layup.
How good does he look?
He looks great.
Tim, doesn't he?
And, it's amazing. He keeps his body in such great shape. He does a lot of hard work during the offseason, and he has his own regimen. He does things his way, but whatever it is, it works. He spends a lot of time at that practice facility.
He's worked on his body. What would you say for each? I know he does it every offseason, but as he's known, he came where he is now. Every offseason, he tried taking off a lot of weight, didn't work. He put a little bit on. He tried going with being a little heavier. He's not content. This is not a guy who's going to ride off into the sunset and say, you know what, okay, I'm just going to, for the next 3 years, in this contract, that's going to be it for me. That's not him. And that was another point that I wanted to ask him, that I wanted to ask Manu, wanted to ask Tony when I had the opportunity. When your 3 best players are your 3 most competitive players, Bill, what does that do for the rest of your team? You have to follow that, don't you?
Well, there's a whole culture in that locker room, and of course it comes from Tim, Tony, and Manu, and of course it started with Tim, you can go back, I guess, to the days of David Robinson, and Pop always says, we just got lucky. We had David Robinson and Tim Duncan. We just didn't screw it up. I think there's a little bit more to it than that. Yeah. I think he deserves a little more credit than that. But when you come into this locker room, you fit in. And if you don't fit in, you're not going to be around very long. And guys have the right attitude. Guys are team players. What does Pop always say, Andrew? Get over yourself.
Yes.
Check your ego at your door, basically, because you know that it's all about the team. And Tony a little shaken up on that play. Let's hope he's all right. I think he is. And here's Coach Bud, Mike Budenholzer. And, here's a guy that we talk about the Spurs sometimes flying under the radar. Here's one of the top assistant coaches in the NBA.
Bingo.
He knows the system so well. Pop says Bud knows the system better than he does. And he's very content on being Pop's lieutenant and helping the team in that way. Very unassuming guy. That head coaching opportunity is going to come to him one day.
And we're going to hear a lot about it this year. The coaching tree of Pop, and yet maybe one of the most important people is going to be the guy who always sits to his right on that bench in Mike Budenholzer, who came up through the ranks, right?
Sure.
From the video guy, and it's that trust, and he's wonderful. Yes, he's had some interviews, and what we have heard is that interviewed very, very well, and there's a lot of respect for him because of that knowledge that he brings.
There's a nice baseline jumper by Ginobili over Danny Green as the Silver now leads the Black 67-58. You know when I'm doing games on the radio, Andrew, and I listen to you do the Silver Stars games as well, one of the things we have to do on radio is give the score all the time.
Yeah.
I don't think I've given the score about 3 times this evening. So
you'll be forgiven.
Yeah,
your boss is right to your left, though, so you better be careful.
Who is?
Your boss.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. Well, it's now 67-58 with 5:35 remaining in the third quarter. So we'll get real serious here for a moment. But, it's so much fun for the fans to be able to sit up close because these fans had to wait in line, and they came in, and they just rushed to their seats. They're all excited. And a lot of these folks won't have an opportunity to sit baseline or to sit in the front row. Another nice baseline jumper by Manu over Nando Nicolo.
And opposite the official scorers table in that front row is a group of wounded warriors at the invitation of head coach Greg Popovich there. And I got a chance to talk with a couple of them and just thrilled at the invitation to be able to sit there, to be that close. And, you talk about this, Military City, USA, and a Greg Popovich who absolutely appreciates it.
Oh, yeah.
And the wounded warriors, they feel it back. And over the course of this season, there's going to be times when the Spurs season ticket holders will give up their seats in the lower bowl along the front row. They will give up their seats willingly to these wounded warriors because they just give us so much.
And once a game in the fourth quarter, I'm not sure if it's the third quarter or the fourth quarter, but in every game during the course of the season at home, the Spurs honor the military that are on hand. Of course, usually number 50 is down there in the second row, David Robinson, and he gets the biggest ovation, but they all get ovations.
It still gives me chills. You know that?
It does.
It does. I think it's wonderful because it's just so genuine. It's so warm, and that's what I love because there is such an appreciation, especially in this city.
Steven Jackson has shown the ability to pass out of double teams and also to post up. He's a very versatile player. And, it's so funny because we talk about the main guys, the big three, being, guys who are been around for a while. Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili. Now you got a guy off the bench, Steven Jackson, who's 35. What a beautiful pass by Ginobili. Patty didn't finish, and neither did Kawhi. But those kinds of things, you know what, folks? Appreciate it now because Manu's not going to be around forever. And it sounds like he still wants to keep playing after this season. And it also sounds like he doesn't want to go anywhere.
Look,
if he's going to play next year, it'll be in a silver and black uniform.
And Tim joked on Media Day, said I had no leverage. His agent was mad at him. I think Manu's it's going to be the same way. But when all is said and done, and believe me, I do not want that day to come, I say don't just take the jersey off Manu and put it in the just put Manu up there as well. Just have him in those rafters. Just unbelievable the reception they got. Even during the State Farm Open scrimmage, how this crowd cheers Manu Ginobili. You talk about a love affair between a player and a city.
A crowd favorite. Obviously, the fact that he's fluent in Spanish and grew up in Argentina helps a little bit. But if you could see on the road, folks, how popular Manu Ginobili is among the Argentina nationals, the people who've moved to this country from Argentina, and they're all over the place. He always takes the time to sign autographs, kiss babies, shake hands, take pictures, and he does it consistently, night in and night out. And he is like the #1 superstar in that country. It means so much to the people of Argentina. They're so proud of Manu Ginobili.
You and I have known players who have done it only when the camera is rolling. And then there's Manu Ginobili. It wouldn't matter. And he would stay as long